Hello, world. Today I am joined with the amazing Jack Herrington, amazing YouTuber, someone I've been following for years. And I'm kind of excited for him to do a JS drop with us. So we're going to be doing an entire kind of workshop explanation on a project that he's built specifically for this. And I think it's going to be a great way for people to get educated on, obviously, we're going to be talking about AI and TypeScript, but essentially the idea here is it's a project showing both client-side and server-side usage of AI. And
Yeah.
I guess without further ado, Jack, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, JS.TS drop today.
JS.TS drop.
There you go.
There you
Fantastic.
go. Yeah, I'm excited for this one because at least from the explanation that you're showing and kind of going over, this is going to be something pretty interesting. So, you want to give some maybe basic overview into what we're going to be looking into?
Yeah, sure. So the premise is pretty simple, and I think most people would be able to relate to this. So there's so much TV on out there now with all kinds of new series and stuff, and the idea is like you watch this TV, like I'll watch like House of the Dragon or something, and a new episode will come out, and we'll go, oh yeah, great, and I'll get into it, and I'll be like, I so don't remember who this person is, even from like last week, because there's so many characters and the plots are so involved and all that kind of stuff. And I'm always looking for cool ways to use AI. So I was thinking to myself, okay, wouldn't it be cool if I could go and take my phone or whatever, and I could just point it at the screen, and it would take video, and then I could just say, it would actually show me, it's like, oh, I recognize that person. And I'd be like, oh, cool. Okay, I'm going to take a picture of that person. And then it would say, okay, well, that's so-and-so. That's, Rhaenyra Targaryen or whatever her name is. And then I could actually go and have a conversation with that person, because sometimes like I don't even know like why is it they're doing what they're doing, and that kind of thing. So it's kind of funny. I was talking to a friend of mine about it later, and he's like, you could probably sell this to like, HBO or whatever, because this is a problem. Like there's just so much good TV, but keeping up with it can be a real hassle. So that, I think we talked about this a while back, and we're like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. So I built it, and now we can walk through it.
Let's go through it. Let's go ahead. You want to share your screen and get started?
Sure, let's go. Okay, so the application starts up, and of course all the code for this available to your viewers and all that. They can just go and take this and just play with it and see how it all works on the inside. But let's give it a quick look through. So I'm going to go and take a new photo, and actually I've got running in the background here. I've got
it's a video going.
Oops, there you go. Yeah, I've got a video going in the background. Let's see. So I got OBS over here, creating a virtual camera so I can use it as the camera. And we can actually see that if this were on like a cell phone, it's actually looking and it's saying, oh, that's Daemon Targaryen, I think. One of the Targaryens. Yeah. So did you watch the show? Just out of curiosity?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
cool.
I'm still on season 1. I'm taking my time since there's such a long overlap until the next season.
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly. And now there's going to be another series in between. It's amazing. Okay. So let's go take the photo. So here, I like that photo. Got the interesting smirk on there. And so that tells us who she is. She's Rhaenyra Targaryen. So it's actually on the client side. All this is AI running on the client to do the face detection, and then not only find the face detection, but also decide who the person is and give you the location and all the rest of it. And now we kind of switch to a server side angle of it, where if we want to chat with Rhaenyra Targaryen, we actually get to chat with the character, and we can say, do you ride dragons? How about that? And there you go. And say, okay. Oh. So she say, yes, I do ride dragons. I think she rides this Syrax or something. And we can even say, what episodes, if I can type, episodes do you ride dragons in? So I can go find out. And interestingly, so we see this get episodes there. So that's the AI coming back to us and saying, well, in order to answer that question, I need to ask you as the application, give me some more information. So I'm going to show you how to do that as well. It's called AI tooling. And this is fascinating, because when you think about AI, like there's so many AI chatbots out there. When AI chatbots really shine is when they give you contextual information. They understand your whatever it is, your finances or your whatever topic you're interested in. And so they're it's not looking at kind of just generalized knowledge. It's looking at your specific thing. So in this case, like we have in the database here, like a full list of all the episodes and what happens in them. And so it goes and asks me for those episodes. And then I, as the application, get to tell it, here are the episodes. And then it goes back and says, cool, I'm going to look through those and then give you some topical information. So in this case,
That's really interesting. So the AI is essentially responding as said character. It's detecting the character. So I'm guessing somewhere in the prompt, it's saying this character was detected, so we want to reply in this manner as said character. Interesting. I'm guessing like the prompt for this has to be super long or something like that in order to add all that context.
Well, let's find out. So you want to work it from the server side first and see?
Whatever you feel comfortable with.
Let's go.
I'm open to it all.
Okay, so over here, just want to kind of get a sense of the application layout. So there's basically, well, let's see, a couple big pieces here. There's an API. That's what the client talks to do the AI work on the server. And then there's all of the application source. That's like all the React application source and everything. And then there's a public folder. We're all kind of used to that has some static stuff, but it also has some interesting things. In this case, it has some models. Those are actually used by the client side AI, and then some example faces. And that's used by the face detector as canonical images for the character. So in this case, like here is the way that we train the AI on Damon. And here's the way that we, train it on Ornaria. And that's how it knows who's who. So that's kind of cool. So a lot of interesting stuff there. But let's talk about, and the underlying architecture here was a system called Vinci. It's a platform that underlies, let's see now, TanStack Start is using Vinci as well as Solid Start. So when you think about like Next.js or Remix or whatever, this is kind of sitting underneath a system like that. And I chose that for a bunch of reasons. I like Vite, but Vite didn't have APIs, API endpoints. And what Vinci allows you to do is say, okay, over here, my config, anything going to like public is going to go to the public directory. Anything going to the client is going to go over here to the browser. And then anything going to the API is going to go to this API endpoint right there. So let's see. So the API is what we want to talk about and how we prompt the AI. So I'll just get my cursor, put it down there. So yeah, I guess there's a lot of code here, although my font size is blown out. So, it doesn't fit all on the screen at one time. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use AI. It's a Versal AI library, which makes it really easy to talk to not just OpenAI, but whatever you've got. You could use Mistral, you could use local AIs, you could use all kinds of different AIs. In this case, we are going to use OpenAI because I like the GPT-4o AI for this. Then we're going to bring in our locations and our characters. And yeah, down here is our prompt. So we're going to give it a system prompt where we're going to tell it, because we get the character as part of our request. We get the messages, that's a conversation, right? All the arrays, the arrays going back and forth between the server and the client for our conversation. And then we get the character. So when we figured out who the character is that we're talking to on the client, they also pass that along to the server to say, okay, you are now Rhaenyra Targaryen, and you're in this Game of Thrones universe, and your name is this, and you answer questions about yourself. So we're basically telling the AI how to act. And then when it comes to getting information, so we give it a set of tools, and we tell it to use those tools to get information on the characters and the locations and the episodes, as well as, sometimes you double prompt these things. And this is all kind of wishy-washy. A lot of this stuff sort of, with AI, I don't know how much you work with AI, but it can be a little bit, hinky. And then, of course, some things, informative, engaging, don't make stuff up. And then don't include information on Game of Thrones because it's a different show. So then once you got that set up, we do say we're going to talk to GPT-4o. We're going to give it the messages, and then we're going to give it that system prompt that we just created to tell it what the character is, what we're creating or emulating. And then in terms of those tools that I talked about, we give it this set of tools. So you can give it the AI in this case can actually talk back to us and call get character information to get information on a particular character, or get characters to get a list of all the characters, to get the episodes or to get the locations. And this is really how you give an AI context, is you give it this set of tools that it can then call to get more information from the app. And not only can you do queries like this, so you could say, okay, I'm writing a business app and I want it to give account information and find, or latest stock market details or whatever as part of this. But you can also even do mutations in here. You could say, okay, well, the user has asked us to perform a trade on this stock or, record this episode. And then you could give it a tool and say, record episode. And then when the user says, hey, I want to record episode 5, it would call back to that. And then we would actually take some action based on that. So it's really cool. I'm really super stoked about these tools and how you can use them to upgrade your AIs.
Yeah. I guess my preconceived notion of how big this prompt would be, this is significantly smaller than where I thought you were going to go with this.
Yeah. Okay.
I was thinking way more information would be required to kind of get those levels of responses. And so I'm kind of somewhat shocked, if I'm being honest. To give you an idea, I did Jason, you learn with Jason. He has this great show, for Web Dev Challenge, and I did.
Oh, you did it?
Yeah, I did it. And,
awesome.
As of the time of recording this video, it hasn't been released yet, but it will be released around Halloween.
Oh, I can't wait to see it.
And it's the Halloween episode.
Nice.
And essentially, one person on the challenge did something with AI, and the level of prompt they had to have was massive in order to do something. This is so much smaller from my perspective to get that quality of information.
And it's interesting, before I learned about tooling and giving it these tools that it could call back to, I actually had a very different prompt. And the prompt was like, I gave it all of the episodes and I gave it all of the characters in the initial system prompt.
That's what I was thinking.
And the problem is that doesn't scale, right? At a certain point, the system prompt just gets way too big to be manageable. So this tooling stuff actually allows you to give it access to any arbitrary data just on the fly like that. So it's I think a much better way to interact with an AI.
Yeah. So I guess, we alluded in the beginning that this was server side as well as client side. What are some of the server side things that we're doing in order to make this happen?
Yeah. Well, okay. So this is the server side endpoint for API/chat. Let's talk about how that's actually called from the client. So if I go over here to app and then I go into, let's just start at the top level. So if we go over here to the client, we just bring in our face detector, which is sort of the root component. And we put in a nice little, Tailwind style setup there to get it in the middle of the screen. And let's see, face detector. So, okay, so now we've got, let's jump down here. Okay, so this is basically deciding whether we're in camera mode or whether we're in kind of running mode. So down here, if we're in talking mode. So we're not showing the camera, then we're going to show our current image up here and any of the faces that we've detected in that image. And then, let's see, character chat. Okay, so that's who we're talking to a person. So let's see, where's character chat coming from? Well, character chat's coming from, camera chat. That's not great. I should call that camera chat. Or actually, character chat makes more sense. Whatever. Yeah. Because we're talking to a character.
We're going to break everything somewhere.
Sure, yeah, why not? Let's just break everything. Okay, so we get the name of the characters. That'd be Rhaenyra Targaryen. We get the image that she's in, and then where she is in that image, so you can kind of put a face on her. And then the cool thing that we're bringing in is this use chat hook. This is what's really doing the actual talking between the app, in this case, on the client and the server. And it's super, super ridiculously easy to do this. I love this Versal AI library. So let's go over to Arc and I'll show you. There we go. So this is the AI SDK from Versal. And, you can have all kinds of thoughts about Versal, but this is a fantastic library for building AI chat systems. And there's a section here on tool calling, which is what we're doing on the back end. So let's go over here, and then we get this use chat hook, and then we can basically give it any extra information we've got. So that's that character that we're sending along, so that the AI knows that it's me talking as Corliss or Renaria or whoever. And then it gives us back the current list of messages that we then format. And then the 3 things that we need to go and send a message to the server. So that would be the current input text, and then the callback to handle any input changes, and then the form submit handler to then submit the form. So let's go take a quick look at that. So down here, it's really easy. We got a form. It has a handle submit. We got our input field. It takes the value and the on change, and that's it. And then over here, we're just formatting the messages that come back. And normally we just kind of give it some content. In the case of a tool invocation, we're saying what tool we invoke. That's more for us for debugging. And then finally, if it's the character coming back, then we try and give it a little thumbnail of their face. It's not working, I guess. I don't know. This is old code. This is like code that's been lingering around for a couple months. But yeah, so yeah. So that's it. That's let me just zoom back here and see if you got any thoughts about that.
Yeah, one thing that just kind of came to me, because we see like the whole face detector app and how we're, I guess, analyzing that face. And for example, in the example that you gave of Damon, I believe you trained it on like 4 images, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I'm sure there's different images for different people. Have there been use cases or situations where you tried to take a photo and it didn't recognize the face because maybe it's in a different angle?
Ooh, that's a good point. Well, right off the bat, I will tell you, you might have noticed, and I learned a lot when I was building this app. I love doing that. That's actually
right.
That's why I do this, is I get to learn all these cool things. These are all black and white, and they're very small, which is interesting. So that's because this face detector that's the input type that it's looking for those models. If you give it like a big color image and the face is not just like truncated like this, then it won't find it. And you can find that you can see that this is a slightly askew image like that. This is kind of him kind of more upright. And so and this is him kind of top down, so you're trying to give it like a variety of images so they can figure out. And I don't actually know how the face detector is doing its work. It's probably looking for like maybe distance between the eyes and the sort of relationship of the face. I think that might be the way that they're trying to do it. It's a fantastic system. If that one is a face API, and it's just a really nice like client side, or actually you can run it in multiple different scenarios. You can actually run it on the server if you want, but you can also run the client, which I think is really, really cool.
Okay, so I guess, this is a really cool tool, especially for someone watching a video or something like that. But what would be other use cases that you could think of using this face detector application that could probably span, I guess, enterprise level or even indie dev?
Sure. I mean, security was one thing that I was actually thinking about, which was, hey, I could go and put like a little Raspberry Pi on my door, which already has an electronic lock on it, and it could see me walking up to the door if it had a camera, and then just automatically unlock the door. That would be really, really cool. I'm not sure I'd trust necessarily that, but I can certainly see that. But it's essentially like face unlock, right? So you're getting that technology for free. And then there's several different levels to it as well. There's face detection of just, is there a face in the frame and where is it? And then there's face recognition, which is of these people, which one am I looking at? And then so you kind of get different levels. So there's this whole detector.ts thing over here, where, let's see. So we load up our face detector first. So we go and get the models of the face detector, and then we're doing 2 different things. We're looking for landmarks. So that would be the points of the face that it's trying to find. And that can be cool because you could do things like if you want to go and put like a virtual mask on yourself, you can actually get things like skew and rotation. If your head's change position, you can get like all of that stuff. So that's kind of cool.
Nice.
Neat little thing. And then the face recognition model is, okay, now that I know where the coordinates are of the face, then go and take that section of the video and compare it against the other faces that I've got and tell me who that is. And you can actually see that running. I think, okay, where is that? Maybe it's over here in Face Detector? Yeah, there's like a series of things that you need to do. Yes, okay. So I create the Face Detector over there, and then it comes back as Face API. And so the first thing I'm going to do is detect all the faces. Then I'm going to give them their landmarks, and then I'm going to give them their descriptors. And then I use all of that data, which you can actually console log out if you want, just kind of see what it looks like. And it's going to give us a lot because it's running all the time. And then it finds the best match of the face to the character in this case. So let's go back over to our arc and into our chat here, take a new photo. And there we go. Actually, it's kind of interesting. I wonder if I could actually fire this up on just like the video that I'm running right now, and we could see it on me, and then it won't find. I would hope that it wouldn't find me as one of the characters. But yeah, if we go over here to our console, we can actually kind of see. Okay, so there we go. We got a face detection, and it's got all this stuff. A lot descriptors and landmarks, and the position of everything, and the shift and the image height. It's really amazing.
So I guess, obviously you learned a lot trying to build this. What were some of the maybe pain points of trying to put this together, and how were you able to kind of get past that?
So the biggest thing I ran into, and it's funny, I actually have like 4 different failed versions of this. It was getting this Face API library to work with at least my preferred framework, which is Next.js. Because it can run on both the client as well as the server, it's packaged in kind of a weird way. And I don't know if you've run into those issues of like ECMAScript modules and common JS modules, but it just was not working with Next.js. And so I was like, okay, I can't get it to work. So what I'm going to do in Next is try Vite, and Vite worked, but it didn't have the API stuff that I needed because I wanted to call back to the server. So then I went with Vinci because it was basically Vite. So I could take the code that I had over there and then bring it into the Vinci app, have it be the client side of the Vinci app, and then bring in an API that could then talk to the server. So it was kind of adapting with what I was given in terms of the compatibility of that library, which is, and that's one of I would say, the trickiest parts about AI in particular is that sometimes you find an amazing tool that works like really, really well, and then it doesn't work in your environment. And that's super frustrating. And so you spend a lot of time trying to go and take that tool and somehow make it compatible in your environment. Because one of the things I certainly didn't want to do is, given that this would run on the server, I didn't want to just go and send a video stream back to the server and say, hey, you figure it out, because that would be just crazy. If you were on a phone or whatever, you're just going to chew up bandwidth. So I wanted it on the client. And so working and getting that to work was a real challenge. Other than that, it was pretty easy. The nice thing about this thing is that it's got a bunch of different examples in it that you can just kind of use as boilerplate. So it's like, oh, I see. Actually, you can see right there what it's detecting. Like you can see the little dots on top of the person's face. And so it's finding the eyes and the distance between the eyes, distance between the sides of the lips and the nose, and how they relate. So, yeah.
That's pretty cool. So I guess, trying to think what's the best angle to go from here.
Ooh, we can even get expressions here. You can find out if you're smiling or not. That's awesome.
I like that. Okay. So I guess going through the code, what's a good angle to go? I feel like this is straightforward. I'm trying to think of what's like a good angle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm wishing we built this from scratch, because I think we could have gotten through this a little bit. Yeah.
So I guess, okay, I can think of an angle. Obviously, with this being client side and server side, React Server components and things like that are relatively new. So I guess what was some of your learnings, or what are some things that you maybe somebody can keep as perspective on utilizing that? Maybe if it's the first go around to it.
Let me think about that for a second. I mean, because there are no React Server components in this one, which is interesting.
I thought the server side was that not a React?
No,
server?
it's an API endpoint. It's not a. It's all of the React is client side.
Okay, so let me rephrase that then.
Sure.
So if it's an API, you created your own version of the API that it's tapping into. So that's the only version of server side. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess. Okay, so you created an API that's being utilized here on the server side. What are some considerations somebody could utilize in trying to create their version of said API to make sure that they're using not just best practices, but maybe saving themselves from some weird edge cases or maybe even some pain points that maybe you've already navigated and been able to kind of get away from?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the pain points right away that you're going to face is the whole flow of connecting between the client and the server for doing this AI work, and making the requests, streaming the response back, because that's a huge deal. If you notice, like when we do, let's look over here and let's take a photo of an area there. Hey, how you doing? So again, let's see. Do you rule the kingdom or something like that? I don't know. Now watch as this returns. Right, so you actually get a streaming response here, and we can see that it kind of comes in, and that's great because from a user perspective, now things are happening. Right, you don't want the case where it's just like, oh, okay, I made a request, now I can loading spinner, because this AI stuff takes a long time to work sometimes. So having that streaming response is great. And that's actually one of the things that this AI toolkit takes care of for you, is managing that streaming response, which is, and I built this from scratch. It's not necessarily very easy to do. You got to go and create a JavaScript stream and then send code send those updates into the stream. Those stream elements have to be formatted. Then you have to have something on the client side to actually ingest that stream, take it and put each piece into its right spot as it comes out of the stream. And all of that is done for you by that AI library. So I think that's one of the key takeaways for me, at least, is sort of instead of trying to go direct to the AI, it's often great to use tools like this AI library that make it really easy to connect and do cool stuff like this streaming stuff, or cool necessary stuff, so that you don't have to write all that code. I mean, as an example, so I'm just bringing in stream text here from AI, and then I'm using that to send back the response, and it's doing all of that work. It's giving me back this result. This result I'm then sending on to, or I'm getting the data stream response on. So that's all of that streaming is just taken care of for me, and I don't have to deal with any of that complexity. And then on the end user side, I'm just using this really crazy easy use chat hook, which handles the streaming coming back from the server. So that's really easy. And here's a cool thing, right? So I'm on Vinci, right? This is Vite, this is API, this is this whole weird Vinci framework as opposed to Next.js, and I'm using this Versal library to talk to my API endpoint, but that's not Next.js, and Next.js is kind of the Versal thing. So even though I'm using their AI library, I'm not locked in necessarily to Next.js. In fact, actually, the last time I looked at it, I'm not even locked into React. I can use that same library on Svelte, on Vue, Solid. Yeah, it's a great library.
So I guess one random question that I have, because it came up to me when you were typing, if you were to type something like, let's say, for example, is your favorite food Burger King?
Yeah,
Even
let's go. Let's
nothing
go.
to do with it.
Yeah. Let's see.
Response be in that response?
Yeah, hey, let's give it a go. Is your favorite food Burger King? Okay, let's see. The concept of Burger King is quite foreign in the world of Westeros.
King would be in there, it would catch it. That's what I was thinking.
Well, it clearly understood like the Burger King is a modern concept.
Food.
Yeah, we done it. And not only that it's actually it's food, right?
Oh.
So it's saying, well, we dine on roasted meats, fresh breads. Starbucks too. I don't know if you remember from Game of Thrones, like in season 8, they had the random Starbucks cup like lying out in the middle of the screen. Yeah. But the feast are great. So I cannot speak of the taste of the Burger King of which you speak. Yeah, that's great. That's hilarious.
I actually thought that was going to catch it or
Oh.
be something.
Yeah.
Just because I guess the royal verbiage would be something that maybe would slip by.
Yeah. Would you like being on a television show? How about that? Oh, that is out of character. I'd say she breaks character there because, yeah, which is interesting through the medium television, blah, 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 blah. But I thought that's interesting. I mean if we go back to our prompt, right? So what was our prompt over here? Yeah, okay. Your name is that character, and you should ask questions about yourself as well as other characters in the events in the voice of that character. All right, so let me see. Do not include any information about modern technology, modern times. How about that? Make sense? Okay, let's give it one more go. Actually, okay, there's got Renera again. So that's using, again, that face detection on the client. So we're getting back a callback from the face detector saying we've got Renera. So that becomes our character. Don't ask me what happens if there's two on the screen at the same time. Thankfully, they never do that. Okay. So what is it? Oh, how do you like being on a television show? Yeah, it didn't cover it. Yeah. Okay.
Maybe that needs to be in the prompt that you shouldn't necessarily answer something in relation to you being on TV.
Yeah, shouldn't answer about being on TV. That's very, yeah. But hold on, let me do one more thing, actually. Let me restart the server, because sometimes, Vinci being this, yeah, maybe it possibly didn't reload the code. So let's see. All right, let's hit it again here. Okay, how do you like being on TV? Yeah, it finally got it. Now it's not acknowledging being on TV anymore. Yeah, nice, well done. So yeah, and right, that's the whole AI jailbreaking thing. Actually, come to think of it, so the reason that I chose GPT-4o, and I get that like this is something you have to buy, or obviously there's free stuff, but in general, because OpenAI, you got to buy it. Originally, I think I'd used OpenLlama, which is a local AI setup, so you can download stuff like Llama 3.1, which is the new thing from Meta, and try and run it locally. And I tried doing this on OpenLlama, and it just did not work. And the reason was because I was giving it these huge prompts in the beginning. I was giving it all of the information about all the episodes and all the characters, and the small mini LLM AIs could not handle that much information. So then I was so frustrated by that. I'm like, what's going on? I mean, I'm giving it all this cool hinting and all this data, and it's not doing anything. It's not responding well. And I literally just said, oh, you know what? Heck with it. I'm just going to go over to 4.0 and see if it's like, is it that? Is it the fact that I'm talking to this little mini LLM? And it was exactly that. And it started working immediately. And that's what I'm finding is these little LLMs that seem really cool. Oh, I can run an LLM on my computer. I don't have to pay anybody for it. And that's all that stuff. The little mini LLMs, they're just not that good. Like, they don't respond well. They don't perform. So it's definitely something to think about. I mean, I'm a big enthusiast of doing stuff like OpenLLM or this OpenLlama stuff, but they might not be what you need. One area where they do excel, though, is in text encoding. So that's if you want to make it like a really good search engine. One of the things you got to do is encode text, create these encodings from text, and they're really good for that. So you can do all the encoding on your computer, not pay any money for all of that, and then you get, so that works great. But the LLMs on OpenLlama, not so much.
I had to sneeze so hard. Okay.
I know. My nose is like itching. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I think this weather change, at least in Texas, is what hit me really hard recently.
They do. Yeah, like barometric pressure changes kill me every time.
Well, let me ask you this. I guess this is slightly outside of the project, but I know recently you built a course. Like, how is that going? You want to talk about that course a little bit? Maybe we can kind of share that with people.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, so recently I released a course called ProNextJS.dev on badass devs. They're the same folks that brought you Epic React and the fantastic TypeScript series. So it's a fantastic learning management platform. And so I got to spend a lot of time really looking into not just the basic mechanics of Next.js and how to present those, about how to do all the routing and all the various, features there, but also some really, really cool in-depth edge cases, because on my channel, I do both basic and advanced content. And so I love to be able to bring both of those things. And that's, I think, what I brought to this new ProNextJS course is a combination of basic walkthrough, so you really get a good, solid fundamentals understanding of how the Next.js app router works, but then also really, really in depth on some really cool stuff like how server actions work and how you can now cache, them, and that's actually information that you'll find pretty much nowhere else. How to do that, which is a huge win for content companies, and if you're working for like a news outfit or an agency that's doing like mostly static content, and you want to be able to update just parts of the page dynamically and handle the caching that way, this course is just phenomenal for that.
Love that. We'll have a link to the description. We'll have a link in the description as well, not to the description.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Honestly, Jack Herrington, thank you so much for being a part of this and doing this for us. I think this tool is really cool. I'm going to definitely be forking it and checking it out. But for anyone else as well, the GitHub repo for this will be in the link in the description as well. And outside of that, thank you for joining this JS Drop. I'm Danny Thompson, Jack Harrington. See you on the next one.
Thank you for having me.
Bye, everybody.
This program is presented by This.Labs, a framework-agnostic consulting firm helping enterprises realize their technical goals through staff augmentation, consulting, project management, on-demand subject experts, training, and other professional services. Find out more at This.Labs.com.